Welcome to the 17th episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome back to our returning viewers, and for those of you who are watching us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Today our adventure takes us to Ancaster, Ontario and Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I'm very excited to talk about these two places because Niagara-on-the-Lake is one of my favorite places to go. But before we talk about our adventure, Colleen will talk about what we are wearing.
So I'm just wearing a scarf tied around my neck. It was too hot for me, but I had finished this lovely scarf for May, and so we'll just want to talk about it. So it is Alpaca Merino Fine Yarn by Estelle.
Very light.
It is very light. It's 55% merino, 25% nylon, and 20% alpaca. And that is the yarn that May and I dyed. Now, I made that for her, and I have enough to make myself a cowl, and you'll see that in my works in progress. But it's not done, so I didn't have it to wear.
And I think it turned out very well. The colors turned out what we expected, really.
They're really, really pretty.
Yeah.
Now, this is a hack of the Katie Shawl pattern by the Cozy Up with the Stitchin' Sisters, the Cozy Up Designs. I love this pattern, and I didn't do any of the eyeballs that I did the last time, so this is just the yarn doing the talking. But what I really like about this pattern is that there is an I-cord edge, so that's along here, and then there's an I-cord bind off, which is along there, and that allows me, when I make it into just a simple V, to have an I-cord edge on both sides. I love it. And all I do is at the back, I sew it together, and so May just has to pull it over her head, and then it works really well.
Now, in order to see this dyeing, did we put a video? We put a video on this, or is there a separate video for?
There's a separate video for our dyeing. So we have a dyeing episode number 1. We did that dyeing in a crock pot. So go off to our YouTube channel, take a look at that episode. We are really impressed with how it turned out. Mm-hmm. We're really, really pleased. And we dyed it with food coloring. So we can use our crock pot again for food, and life is good.
Yeah, turned out great.
All right, so that's what May's wearing. Next, we're going to talk about our finished objects. My first finished object is a pair of socks for May. So if you can hold those up for me, that's great. It's made with bamboo mosaic sock yarn from Maxim. This is the colorway called Mountain Air. It's 63% acrylic, 30% bamboo, 7% polyester. Beautiful, beautiful pattern to work with, beautiful yarn to work with.
So I can't wait to wear them.
Yes, the pattern is Blueberry Waffle Sock by Sandy Turner. Now this pattern is for DK weight yarn, and this is fingering weight yarn, so I had to do a little maneuvering of the pattern, but that's okay. I used a 64 stitch sock pattern, and I used the toe that was from K. Jones' Drippity Drop Socks. It's the umbrella toe, and I really like how it feels, and May, you liked how it felt as well.
They feel great on my feet. They feel nice and snug, and they feel wonderful, and I can't wait to wear them. And thank you again.
You're very welcome. Now, May is a fan of desert boots, and she has 2 or 3 pairs of them, so those will go perfectly with all of them.
Yes, they will.
Yep, so that is the first one. Now, the second one is a wee baby jacket or a baby sweatshirt. So this is the Og Norwegian fur top-down baby cardigan. I am in love with this pattern. The construction was really easy. It's garter stitch. I love the detail that happens here along the sleeves. It's so nice. I think I want to make more of these just to have on stock because, as we mentioned in a previous podcast, lots of our friends are having grandkids, and some of the people we work with are having babies, so that's going to work out well. The yarn that I used is Bernat Softee Baby. It's 100% acrylic, and it was really, really nice to work with. I love the color of yellow, and I was really pleased with how that turned out.
It turned out very nice.
Now,
great job.
Technically, it's not a finished object because I don't have a button on it yet. There's only one button required. I have the button, and I can hardly wait to show you, but that's in one of my souvenirs. So that's that.
Okay.
And my last finished object is the Terracotta Shawl by Jessica Gore. And it's a 1-skein shawl I used. It's called Dream in Color Yarn-Smooshy with cashmere. It's kettle dyed. This is the Island colorway, and it's 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon, and it feels lovely. Now, I have blocked this, but I didn't aggressively block it. So what that means is I kind of spritzed it with water, and I did pin it out, but I didn't crank it out so that it would be too much.
This turned out nice. I love the size of it. It's not too large.
Exactly.
And also the texture of the yarn. I don't know what stitches that is, but the texture that came out of there was wonderful. If you can see that on the camera.
It's beautiful.
Wonderful texture, great colors, good size. You did
really
a wonderful
happy
job
with
on
it.
this.
And the garter stitch at the bottom kind of grounds it a little bit, and I think it really shows off then that texture.
Yeah, great job.
All right, so that's my last finished object, but May has a finished object to talk about right now.
My finished object is a painting that I have completed.
And it's beautiful, May. It's
Thank
really,
you.
really nice.
This painting always reminds me of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and since our adventure took us there today, I thought this would be appropriate for this podcast. Now, we had gone to Niagara-on-the-Lake a few years ago with some friends, and we would meet them at the Pillar and Post. It's part of the Prince of Wales Hotel,
Yes, there's a
right
number.
down Niagara-on-the-Lake.
it's
And in the front foyer, they would have this large painting, and we'd often talk about the painting and the techniques and how they would do that and how they would do this. And so afterwards, we came home and I decided I would paint my interpretation of that painting. And so this is it, and it often reminds me of Niagara-on-the-Lake.
And it's beautiful. It's very, very similar to that big painting, and I'm really glad that you did because it's beautiful.
Well, thank you, and that's my finished object.
Next, we're going to talk about my works in progress. My first work in progress is a wee hat, and it's a wee hat to go with that yellow sweater that you just saw. So it's called Beloved, and it's by Tin Can Knits, and it is a beautiful pattern. I am so happy with that. So it is knit from, you start here, and then you knit up, and then it's going to decrease on the other side and make the hat. What I really love is that this garter ridge along here, which is going to go nicely with that garter detail in that other sweater that we just showed. So this is that Bernat Softee Baby, 100% acrylic.
That's going to go well with that
It's
little
going to go
jacket.
really nice. And
nice
I've got
little gift.
lots of yarn left, and maybe booties are in my future as far as going with that.
It'd be a great gift for
So
someone.
that's my first work in progress. Now, I have been working on little baby sweaters, and I've been trying to figure out whether I need to, I just want to have enough ready so that if somebody has a boy or somebody has a girl, or, you know, there's somebody else, we need one
Gender
there for-
neutral.
Gender neutral. So I thought we would do some work with gray. So here's what we see. And what this is a hack of the it's called the Blossi pattern. It's a Lopi pattern originally. It's by Sarah Dearne.
Oops.
And that's okay. This is the Red Heart Soft. It's 100% acrylic. It's really, really soft.
It's
going by name.
wonderfully soft.
And I needed to try and find, this is a worsted weight yarn, so I needed to try and find a pattern that would go with it, but I didn't want to have so much detail along, because if it's going to be for somebody who's, 3 or 4 years old or 2 or 3 years old, then I wanted it to be able to work well. So it starts at the bottom and works up, and then it's a patterned yoke sweater. So I really am enjoying that. I'm going to need to do a little bit of blocking. I know that when you're doing color work, you're sometimes supposed to do a half a size needle bigger, and maybe that's what I would do next time. I think I'm okay. The color works fine and it will block out, but that is my work in progress.
Another wonderful gift for some little child. That's beautiful.
Exactly.
Great job. I can't wait to see that finished.
Thanks. The last one is a Lacy Cowl by Wendy Dayus, and the yarn will look very familiar, because this is the yarn that May and I dyed. So she has her cowl, because I made hers first.
Similar.
The color is there, but it looks so different. Now, this is Alpaca Merino Fine by Estelle. And you can see, now this one's lacy, and it will definitely need to be blocked out. So I'm just gonna do this with it. So it's gonna block this way, and it's going to be a nice cowl. And I'm just going to knit until all of this is gone. It's a free pattern. It's a nice pattern to do because...
I didn't lose a stitch.
Yeah, you might have lost one. It's okay. I'm not going to worry about it.
Oh.
Are you stressed out?
Oh.
Okay, don't be stressed out. I can fix it. So we're just going to put that down. It's okay. May being not a knitter, she's very stressed out. Me being a knitter is like, yeah, okay, I dropped a stitch. It's not a problem. So we're going to...
I am so sorry.
That's okay. So we're going to fix that up. That's my work in progress. I can hardly wait till it's done. Then we can block it, and then I can wear it. And then even though we're gonna have the same color on, we still look a little
And you know,
different.
that tells me a little bit about when you knit something, how important it is to look at the pattern and see what kind of yarn you can.
Yeah.
Because sometimes yarn colors go better with other patterns, what I've noticed.
Yep, and I find that sometimes what happens is I know the pattern I want and I pick the yarn. And sometimes what happens is I fall in love with the yarn and then I try and find a pattern that will work with it. So when we're dyeing yarn, I don't know what it's going to look like before.
Right.
So I tend to go, okay, what would be really nice with that? I know the cowls that you like, and
Right.
I knew that would be nice and soft for
and
you.
light, yes.
Exactly. And I wanted to use up the rest of it. So I wanted to take something that would be a little bit more. So I like a little bit of lace. I'm going to block it out. It'll be nice. And I'm going to go rescue a stitch right now. So that's my work in progress. And next we're going to talk about our adventure.
Our adventure took us to Ancaster and Niagara-on-the-Lake, and what we decided to do, we were going to go on a camping trip, and we were going to take the tent and put it up, but we heard on the weather forecast that it was going to rain. So I came up with a brilliant idea of car camping, so we wouldn't have to put a tent up in the rain or take a tent down in the rain.
Exactly.
Because we already had booked our site for 2 nights.
Right.
I want to explain what car camping really is. It's really you take your vehicle, which we have an SUV Ford Escape, and we make it into a bed so that you can sleep actually in the car and you can make screens. But I made a little video because it is difficult to explain. So I made a little video and I'll put that in there now as to what car camping is.
Fantastic.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial on how to make your vehicle a camper, and maybe it'll inspire you to do that for yourself. Our first stop was Ancaster, population 40,000. Now I just want to mention that their population actually doubled in the 70s, because in 1968 they built the 403 between Hamilton and Ancaster, and that doubled their population.
Oh my
so
goodness.
a lot of the people that live in Ancaster will tend to work in Mississauga, Toronto, Hamilton. Now I know it became part of Hamilton, I believe, in the 2000s, but I don't want to go there because it's a little bit of a contentious issue, I believe, and I don't know enough about it. The store there is amazing, the little town there. I just got a great feel. The energy in that town is wonderful. The places around it, it just seemed clean, lots of flowers.
It's beautiful.
We didn't spend a lot of time in the town ourselves, but you could just get a really nice feel from driving around. It was just a wonderful place to be. So if you ever get an opportunity, I'd highly recommend you get to go to Ancaster, and the actual yarn store that is there is called the Needle Emporium, which is a wonderful store, and it's a big building and it's easy access.
Absolutely. It was a great place to look
It's
at.
a great, wonderful store, but Colleen will talk a little bit about that store.
It is an amazing yarn store. So there's their flyer. So the owner is Julie, and the lady we were speaking with was Lynn, and we had a beautiful visit there. Lots of fun, lots of things to see. It has broken up. It's an old house. It's broken up in rooms, and each room has a different weight of yarn in it, which is really nice and easy.
I know it seems like for somebody that doesn't knit, it seemed like a lot of stuff, and you were able to tell what was what, because each room,
Exactly.
I wouldn't, as a non-knitter, I
Right.
wouldn't been able to tell. It just looks like a lot of stock, a lot of
Exactly.
stash.
There is a lot of stash, but it's amazing stash. So there's lots of indie dyers. There's hedgehog fibers. There is a long list in this brochure of what they have. So blue sky alpacas, Cascade, Frabjous fibers, Freya fibers, hedgehog fibers, Life in the Long Grass, Long Dog Yarn, Lorna's Laces, Madeline Tosh, Malabrigo, Manustel Uruguay, Mrs. Crosby, Prism, Rowan, Serdar, Sweet Georgia, Ushidita, I think, Yarn Love. Oh my goodness. So I had a lovely time looking at that store. Once again, it's a store I could spend days in because there's all kinds of little nooks and crannies and all kinds of things to see. I love the store, and I think if I knew a specific project and I wanted to find the right yarn, that would be the store to go to, because there are so many options for you, right? If I just wanted to find yarn, well, I did find yarn, but if you just wanted to find yarn and then figure out a project, they're very helpful and they can help you with that. There's lots of samples up. It is a beautiful store. I had a great time in the Needle Emporium.
And Lynn was so personable and,
Yes.
and fun. It was just a fun trip to go to that store.
It was great.
So thank you very much, Lynn. If you're watching, we appreciate that, and we appreciate your store and all the work that you did and putting all that stuff away that you. Well, the day that we were there, they had some stock she had to put away, so she was very busy. So
That's right.
our next stop was to Virgil, Modern Bee yarn store. Colleen will talk a little bit about that later on. And the Modern Bee is actually in Virgil, but you can't really go to the Modern Bee without going to Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is right next door.
Yeah,
really.
they're very, very close.
Very close. And Niagara-on-the-Lake is just a must-see. Population about 17,000 people, but I'm sure in the summer that quadruples
I would
to the
imagine
millions
so,
because
yes.
it's such a wonderful place. It is one of the great places, they say, in Ontario to retire. I would think it's very expensive there to retire, but it would be one of my picks
Exactly.
to
It's
retire.
beautiful.
Again, I might have to get another job or three to be able to do that. It is located on the Niagara Peninsula, and that is where the Niagara River and Lake Ontario meet. So the location is absolutely phenomenal. Back in it has Fort George there. It's a fort that they used to battle in 1812, and actually the Americans took Fort George over in 1813.
Oh my goodness.
They took it over and they kind of destroyed it a little bit. But on December of 1813, the British got it back.
Okay.
And I think that's why they're the only place in Canada that has a Lord Mayor, because of the UK connection.
Oh, excellent.
And yeah, so they've restored it, Fort George, and you can see it when you go there. It's a real tourist attraction, and a lot of the schools go there on field trips.
Oh,
and that
yes,
type of thing.
absolutely.
So it's just a wonderful location. When you drive along, you see all the beautiful vineyards. They have Enniskillen, and can you name a few others?
Jackson Triggs, Trius.
Of course, the Wade Gretzky, what you'll see that we had to visit also. We visited in the winter, and you'll see the difference. No ice rink this time, but they have the water out there, and beautiful, beautiful vineyards. Like, just a beautiful place to be, isn't it?
It is. It's gorgeous. I really enjoy Niagara-on-the-Lake.
What we do is we take Niagara-on-the-Lake, we go down to the falls, and you'll see that, we'll put a video in. We go to the falls and we take the road along the falls, and it takes you right into Niagara-on-the-Lake.
It's a beautiful
And
drive.
it's just a beautiful drive. There's beautiful bike paths, there's places to have picnic areas. It's not super crowded anytime we've been there, but we've gone there usually early in the mornings.
That's right.
And there's a golf course, there's places to eat. It's just tranquil. It's just gorgeous views and a lovely place to be. And then you get into Niagara on the lake, of course, which is lovely little shops. And we did a few shopping. They have the British store, they have the Irish store, they have artists shops, they have candy stores, as you can see from the video that I'll put in. And that gives you an idea what Niagara-on-the-Lake is like. And if you do get an opportunity, I highly recommend going to Niagara-on-the-Lake. Our campsite that we were in was wonderful. We were able to spend the day there, and we went back to the campsite. We were able to have a fire. Colleen was able to knit by the fire.
Yeah, I loved
and the car camping wasn't so bad. Like, sleeping in the car was actually, it was a little warm because I had made the screen shorter than anticipated because of the rain. But had we had the larger screens, there would have been more of a breeze coming in. But
So we're going to work on that.
yeah, and the 4-inch foam in the car is actually very comfortable.
It is.
And I highly recommend Lundy's Lane
KOA.
KOA campground is
It's
wonderful
great,
too.
yeah.
It's very clean. The washrooms are spotless. The showers are spotless. It was just a wonderful trip overall.
Absolutely.
Great couple of days. So thanks. We had fun.
No problem.
And I highly recommend both Ancaster and Niagara-on-the-Lake and Virgil and the Modern Bee. So you can talk a little bit about that.
Perfect. So the Modern Bee is a lovely little store. It is arranged in such a neat way. So on the one side is all kinds of fabrics. So they do quilting, sewing, those kind of things. And on the other side is the yarn. Now, it is a small space. And so you think, well, where do they put all the yarn? So what they decided to do, and I think it's brilliant, is they take one skein of yarn in the color. So let's say I've got a whole row of Cascade, and I'll have a purple and a blue and whatever. And so I'll just have one skein of each of the kinds of yarn on the shelf. And then if somebody wants more, it's in the basement in storage.
It's a great idea.
It's a great way. So they don't have to have so many cubbies. It's really arranged beautifully. You'll see that in May's pictures and when she does the video. So we were speaking with Monique and Susan, and they were fantastic.
Lovely people.
I was looking for a specific colorway to go with some yarn, and I was able to find it. They had some really neat things. So I really, really enjoyed the Modern Bee. Now, it is...
they do a lot of online
They
things.
do a lot of online, yes.
I was talking to, I believe it was Monique, and she was saying that they had sent things to, as far as Australia, they sent things to UK, all over. So they do a great
Exactly.
online business.
They do. And they have, at times in the year, the store is not open unless by appointment. But I went online. We were going to try and go in April, and then there was an ice storm, so it didn't work. They were very understanding about that. But what you do is you just go onto their website, you type in when you want to go, you make an appointment. It will come back either yes, that works, or no, it doesn't, and they'll help you. The other thing that they said to us when we were there is if it is open, if you see the sign is open, they're in. But they're not there all the time. So if you absolutely need to go to that store and you want to be sure somebody's there, just make an appointment. They're
And
very good about doing
it was pretty
that.
easy to do
It was
that.
easy to make an appointment, absolutely.
And they were very accommodating, really.
Exactly.
Wonderful little store, very clean, very tidy.
It was
and,
beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm sure they get a lot of.
Oh my goodness, the colors were brilliant.
I'm sure they get a lot of business in the summer too, with
Yes.
people driving through Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure in the winter it might not be quite as busy of a place,
Right,
just
right.
because of the weather conditions that we have.
So
there,
you can make appointments to go and actually shop in there. You can make an appointment if you have an order that you have made and you want to pick up. You can pre-arrange to pick it up. They're very, very accommodating, and I really, really enjoyed the store there as
Yeah,
well.
it was a great store. So thank you for that. And one more thing I'd like to mention about Niagara-on-the-Lake: we have lunch at the golf course, which is absolutely phenomenal.
It's beautiful.
You get a great lunch. The food's great. And you get a great view of Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Exactly.
So highly recommend that.
Right. So do you want to, are you going to put the video
I will
of the
put
stores?
the video of the stores now,
Perfect.
and it'll give you an idea of our little trip.
Great.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those videos, and I hope you enjoyed our adventure and sharing that with us. We appreciate that. And now Colleen will talk about our souvenirs.
The Needle Emporium is an amazing store, as I mentioned earlier, and we have been there a couple of times. So just take that into account when you look at the number of souvenirs. We did a little shopping when we went there in March break. And then the good thing is I knew what to expect when I came back this time and had a great time. So what we picked up was some Sirdar Snuggly Baby Bamboo. And that is going to make a cowl for May. I love that aqua blue. It's beautiful. So it's 80% bamboo and 20% wool. I think it's going to be beautiful. So that color's for May. And then I found some lovely rich dark purple. What a surprise that is.
They had lots of that, as you can see that on the video too.
Exactly. And this is really, really nice wool or nice yarn to work with. It's really, really light and it makes a great cowl. So if you're thinking about doing that, it's DK, it's beautiful. So I really enjoyed that.
Nice feel, very soft.
Exactly. So then I decided to buy some, it's called Wonderland Yarns. This is called Marianne. So it's a sock weight, but it's 85% merino and 15% nylon. This is the colorway Certain Twilights. It is beautiful. So there's light
colors
blue,
in there, beautiful
dark
colors.
blues.
It's very similar to what we've dyed, I think.
It does look a little bit.
Maybe.
I think it's a little bit
More
more
blue.
blue. Yeah, but I am really, really happy with that. And I want to try and find something that's going to make a 2-color shawl. So it's got a lot of yardage. Let me just read it if you don't mind. The yardage on this is 475 yards. That's a lot of yardage. This yarn is beautiful, so I can hardly wait to see what I'm going to do with that. That's great. Now, when we were there, Lynn was lovely and said, oh, by the way, we have some Malabrigo on sale. And I went, okay. So I found some Malabrigo. The first one has got some lovely colors. If you can hold that close. So this is, the Malabrigos are both their sock. And their sock is superwash merino wool. This is colored, which is playa, which actually means beach. So it's got some blue, it's got some sandy colors. I really, really like it. I think it's going to make something nice.
Of course, there's purple in there.
Of course, you have to find some purple somewhere, so that's all right. And this next one has a nice vibrant green in amongst some purples and blues, and that's the Kendome colorway. Once again, Malabrigo sock.
It's got some green.
Exactly.
Purple.
So
Nice.
I am looking forward to having those to put them in a shawl. And I wanted to get May something, and so I found some cotton DK. It's by Sirdar. It's 100% cotton. And so there's a navy, and it's kind of a beige. It's a little bit more tan
Silver.
than beige.
It looks kind of a silver
Almost.
tinge to it, yeah.
So I think that's going to go really nicely together, and I'm going to try and come up with some kind of pattern that's going to showcase both of those.
I like the feel of that.
I know. I think you'll like that against your neck.
Thank you.
So that was our shopping at the Needle Emporium, and then we headed off to the Modern Bee, and Modern Bee was lovely as well. So I was trying to find something to go with this Wonderland Yarns at the Modern Bee, and the first thing I thought I found was a Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock, and this is the Nightshade. I'm just going to hold it like that. Explain why a second. There you go. That's okay. So you can see that it goes fairly well.
It goes great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Perfect.
I think that'll go wonderful, yes.
Yes. So I've got that. Then I wasn't sure whether that was the right blue, so I found some Malabrigo sock again. This is called Côte du Jour. I've used this yarn before, and it is lovely, lovely, lovely to work with.
Will this go together also?
I think it could go together. It would be, if you wanted a higher contrast, you could do that. So I think that might go together. So I got the Sweet Georgia and that Malabrigo Côte d'Azur just in case, and then I'm going to make some decisions. The other thing that I found was some Barocco vintage DK. There is a shawl that I have made. I'm just going to, they wound it for me, which was lovely. Sorry. They wound it for me, which was lovely. The shawl that I made, which is called the Snow Day Shawl by Mina Philipp, I did it in teals, and I think it's going to be nice in there.
So I'm
going
to see what it's
work
done
on it. They were nice to wind it up. Baroccos are really nice priced yarn so that you can buy it. These were 100 gram skeins. It really feels nice, and I think it's going to work really, really well.
I think you're right.
So I'm really pleased with that.
That's going to be very nice. I can't wait to see what that looks like finished. I wish we had brought the green one in to show.
Yeah. If you look at previous episodes, it's there, or maybe I can get May to put in a picture right here.
Yeah.
Perfect. So hopefully that picture let you see. You need 3 colors, and that will go
and just
great.
Visualize that in purple.
Exactly.
Great.
So that's that. Then I was over on the quilting side to
At the
find
Modern
some
Bee,
fabric.
of
At the
course,
Modern
yeah.
Bee. We're still at the Modern Bee trying to find some fabric. And what a surprise. This is Keith Fassett. So he's a man that does color work all the time. It's called Indigo. It actually is a purple color, and I can hardly wait to make a project bag with that.
Beautiful colors.
I am thrilled with it. Absolutely.
And there's so many patterns to choose from. I don't know how you ever choose in there. There's just so many, but you did a great job of picking that.
And this one I fell in love with. It's funny that with fabric, sometimes you do. This has just got a bunch of different feathers.
I can hold that.
I think it's called Feather and Sky, I think, something to that effect.
Different.
But I love the blue, and I'm wanting to try, I want to try and make a different kind of drawstring bag. I want to try and make a bag that has a strap. You know, sometimes you can fit one strap in the other and close up the top. So I've got some ideas. So I bought myself a meter of that so I can play with it and see what I can find.
Great.
So that's what I managed to find at the Modern Bee. And before you mentioned the Scottish store, I just want you to know it's okay. The stitches have been picked up.
You saved my
I saved you. I saved your mistake. It's all good. So don't worry about it. It's fine. It's
Thank
fixed.
you.
It's ready to go. Oh, one more thing from the Modern Bee. These are the buttons
Oh, for the little sweater.
for the little sweater. And I just about forgot them. They're beautiful. They're little sheep. I only need one. So if I make another one of those sweaters, I'll have another one to do.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now, as we mentioned before, I love all your stash that you bought, and you seem really happy with all that you're.
Yes.
2
thrilled.
great stores, and I mean, you could have bought so much more because
Absolutely.
the stores are so wonderful. We went to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and as I mentioned before, there's lots of little stores there. One being the British store, and also there's the Irish store, and there's candy stores. We did go into the British store, and upstairs they have the Scottish loft.
It's a beautiful store.
Beautiful little store.
Absolutely
with
loved
everything Scottish in there. It's kind of cute. And Colleen, we couldn't leave there. There was a fridge magnet that says, "I am Scottish and I cannot keep calm," as you can see. And Colleen thought we can't leave that store without buying that for me, because there is a little bit of truth to that.
it. Just a little bit. Not too much. Just a little bit.
And also, Colleen likes Gaelic symbols and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And you're kind of drawn to that.
Yeah, that is a Celtic claddagh. I'm not sure I'm saying it right.
And we couldn't leave the store without getting that
It's
for Colleen.
beautiful.
That's
I really,
beautiful,
really
yeah.
like it.
I really like that. That'll be nice on.
Thank you.
And also we get, we often get curly whirlies. They're curly whirlies. It's chocolate. It's caramel and chocolate. And
oh my goodness.
we get them. We have a store here called the Bulk Barn, and they sell those, and we often get them for our kids at Christmas, and they're a big hit.
Yeah.
But they had them in the Scottish store, which was wonderful. So we got some
Exactly.
curly whirlies.
And the good news is, if anybody wants to know, there is only 118 calories in that whole thing.
Guilt-free.
Guilt-free. So if we split it,
Yeah. Oh, it all gets complicated.
okay, don't worry about it.
Those are our souvenirs.
We had a wonderful trip. We had a great time camping. We had
Shopping.
Shopping. Yes, we had a great time. The whole thing was great. We recommend the Modern Bee, and we recommend the Needle Emporium to you, no problem. We just want to let you know how to get a hold of us with social media. On Ravelry, we have a knitting group, and it's the MC Knitting Adventures podcast group. So come on, introduce yourself. That would be great. On Instagram, we're MC Knit Adventures. And you can find us here on YouTube at MC Knitting Adventures Podcast. If you like what you're seeing, please like us, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know if there's other things that you'd like to see. May and I have talked about doing a little bit more dyeing of yarns, so hopefully that's something that you would enjoy. But if there's anything that you'd like to see, just let us know, and then we'll do that. Until next time,
You take care.